Today we are going to get into a new module of the course, which is shear force in thin wall beam, thin wall cross section beam. So in the earlier part of the course we have already seen that how a thin wall structure is going to behave under torsional load and under bidirectional bending moment. Okay, so for torsional load we have seen there would be a shear stress distribution in the cross section, which we now know how to find out and how to analyze. For in case of bending moment, we have seen that there is going to be a normal stress in the cross section, which also we know how to analyze. So the next part of the course involves in understanding how the structure or the beam with thin wall cross section is going to behave in the presence of a shear force, and how is it going to how is the stress going to develop in the cross section because of the shear force. Okay, so this is what is to go. I'll just reiterate that if I have a beam, okay, a thin wall beam, and if I apply a shear force, either it could be Sx, it could also be it could be Sx, Sy, it could be Sx, or both Sy and Sx, and if I take a cross section at any arbitrary location of the beam, then in the cross section the only stress that is in the cross section the stress that is going to develop is a shear stress, okay, because of the shear force. So the shear stress is going to be a function of the local coordinate S. So shear stress is going to be a function of S. We can also instead of representing it as shear stress, we can also say that a shear flow, which is going to be the shear stress into the thickness of the cross section, is going to develop in the cross section because of this shear force Sy and Xx. Okay, now saying this, I should also mention that Sy and Sx, as you might be aware, is going to produce a bending moment also in at an arbitrary cross section of the beam. So because of this bending moment, because of Sy and Sx, there is going to be a normal stress also in the cross section. Okay, so what is going to happen, as a summary, if we say what is going to happen, if I take a beam, if I apply shear forces Sy and Sx in y and x direction respectively, there is going to be a normal stress in the cross section of the beam. That is because of the bending moment produced due to Sy and Sx, that we already know how to analyze. We are not going to get into that, right? We know thoroughly how to analyze the normal stress that is going to develop in the cross section because of the bending moment arising due to Sy and Sx. Now apart from the normal stress, there is going to be a shear stress distribution in the cross section, okay, which I call as tau s. Okay, so what we are going to do in this part of the lecture is that we are trying to see how the shear stress would be calculated, how it would be distributed in the cross section, and how do we find out the maximum value of the shear stress. So this is the problem definition that we are going to handle in the lecture, in this current lecture and the coming few lectures. Now saying this, let me move into a bigger picture, I mean a blown up picture. Okay, so this is the blown up picture of the beam. Okay, I have the C section, the thickness of the section is T. Okay, so the thickness is T. I have shown the x, y and z axis. X and y are in plane axis and z is the lengthwise axis. Now what I do is that I take a small elemental area I take a small elemental area marked by this red color. Okay, so ds is the length of this cross section, and I just take a small block out of it. dz is this length, and I just magnify this, and this is shown here. Okay, so ds, so ds is this, dz is this. Okay, now let us try to see what are going to be the stresses on this elemental area defined by dz and ds. So this is my elemental unit, elemental volume or unit, whatever you want to call it. Okay, now let us see what are the stresses that is going to develop. Okay, so as I said earlier, there is going to be a normal stress in the z direction that we have already talked about in the earlier. Going to be a sigma z plus del sigma z by del z into dz. Okay, so so this is the normal stress that is going to be there because of the bending moment produced by the sy and sx. Now on these two faces, I am not going to, on these two faces, this face as well as the opposite face to that, we are not going to have any normal stress, right? Because the normal stress is going to happen only in the z direction. Now let us see, apart from normal stress, what are the other stresses there? So the other stresses are going to be the shear stress. So if I try to draw the shear stress here is going to be tau sz, and the corresponding shear stress here is going to be tau sz plus del tau sz by del s into dz. Okay, and there would be a complementary set of shear stress, so which will be on this surface, and that is going to be again tau sz, and here it is going to be tau sz plus del tau sz by del s into ds. Okay, so this is going to be the shear stresses. Now the so I have drawn two components of the shear stresses on each face. Now there is going to be another shear stress which has to be in this direction, right? There is going to be another shear stress which is going to be tau nz kind of. Okay, tau nz. So here also you will have another shear stress like this and another shear stress like this. But now comes the assumption. So the assumption that we can make, because the cross section is thin walled. Okay, so the first assumption is, now let us look into this shear stress component tau nz, okay, which we can call as the shear stress normal to the beam surfaces. Now the assumption is that this tau nz, which we will call shear stress normal to beam surfaces, Okay, so this tau nz is 0 on the top and bottom surface of the beam. So this tau nz is 0 on this shaded portion. On this shaded portion, tau nz has to be equal to 0. Also on the bottom shaded portion, tau nz has to be equal to 0. Why? Because they are stress-free surfaces. Okay, because there is no externally applied surface forces at the two portion, this shaded portion and the corresponding bottom shaded portion. Okay, so that is stress free. So tau nz on those two surfaces has to be equal to 0. Okay, so now imagine tau nz is 0 at the two boundaries, and we are saying that the thickness of this wall T is very small. Now, since tau nz is 0 at the two surfaces and the thickness T is very small, we can very well assume that tau nz is 0 all through the cross section, or tau nz can be approximated to 0 all through the thickness of the cross section. Okay, so tau nz is neglected. Okay, so let me actually erase this off. We have to draw a lot of things here, so let me just erase. So what I can say is that tau nz can be neglected okay, because tau nz is 0 on the surfaces, and because the thickness T is very small, and so we can assume that there is no variation of tau nz across the thickness of the beam cross section, and so it can be approximated very well to 0 or can be neglected. Okay, that is the first assumption. So let us now get rid of all this tau nz. Okay, so that is the first assumption. So we say therefore tau nz is equal to 0. So only non-negligible stresses that stays along the thickness of the beam cross section is sigma z and tau sz. So let me also write it down that sigma z and tau sz are the only non-negligible stresses on the beam cross section. Okay, right? So now the second assumption. The second assumption is that since the thickness is T is considerably small, we can say that sigma z and tau sz is not going to vary across the thickness of the cross section. Okay, across T, and so it is going to remain constant across the thickness of the cross section. So let me write it down. Direct stress sigma z, which is the direct stress on normal stress. I am more comfortable in calling it normal stress, but of course many people call it as direct stress. So sigma z and tau sz, that is the shear stress, the only shear stress, only non-negligible shear stress, are assumed to be, or approximated, maybe not assumed, approximated to be constant across the thickness. So that is our second assumption. Now the third assumption is that the axial constraint effects are negligible. So I will let me first write it down and then I'm going to explain. Axial constraint effects are negligible. Okay, so what is meant by axial constraint? Axial constraint is that the out of plane deformation of the beam, that is the deformation in z direction, is unconstrained. Okay, that the theory that we will be developing to find out the shear stress tau s z is based on the assumption that the out of plane or axial deformation of the beam, that is the deformation in z direction, is unconstrained. Okay, so there is no axial constraint, so the effect of axial constraint is neglected or is considered to be zero. So these are the three assumptions behind the theory that we are going to develop to find out the shear stress. Now the other point is that since tau s z is the only shear stress, we can very well call tau s z to be tau, and we can get rid of the subscripts, which will make our expressions and equations much more simpler. Now with this, let us get into the derivation. So I will erase this off. Okay, now let us find out the force balance in z direction. Okay, so what I do is that in this elemental volume I am trying to write down the force balance equation in z direction. So let us see what are the force balances in z direction. So one is sigma z plus del sigma z by del z into dz into ds into t. So this is the stress into t into ds. So this is the area. Okay, right? So sigma z plus del sigma z by dz, then minus sigma z into t ds plus tau s z plus del tau s z okay, again this is the area and this is the stress, and for equilibrium in z direction this should be equal to 0. Now if I simplify this equation, I'm going to get this as del sigma z by del z into t ds dz plus del tau s z into ds into, sorry, let me erase this, into t ds dz is going to be equal to 0. So this further can be written as del sigma z by del z into t plus del tau s z by del s into t is equal to 0. So now this part can actually be written as del q by del s, because tau sj into t is the shear flow q. So therefore this entire expression can be written as del sigma z by del z into t plus del q by del s is equal to 0. Okay, so therefore this is an important expression. I call it as equation 1, okay, which relates the shear flow with the applied with the normal stress that is going to develop in the cross section. So this is one equation that we need to remember. Okay, now let me clear the canvas and go ahead with the okay. So let me carry forward the equation that I had del sigma z by del z into t plus del q by del s is equal to 0. This was my equation 1. Now from our previous study we know that sigma z can be expressed in terms of the applied external moment. So sigma z can actually be written as okay. So I already have this equation relating the direct stress with the applied moment mx and mz. So what I do is that I just take the derivative of sigma z by del z, okay, and that is going to be del my by del z into ixx. Ixx is of course not a function of z. Then I have del mx by del z into ixy by of course ixx iyy minus ixy square into x plus del m x by del z into iyy minus del my by del z into ixx by ixx iyy minus ixy square into y. Now let us look into this equation in further detail. So what is del my by del z? So what is this and what is this? So let us try to understand this physically. What is del m by del z? Forget about y and x. Okay, what is the derivative of moment in terms of the lengthwise coordinate of the beam? So that is going to be the shear force. Right, from your understanding of bending moment and shear force that you have learned in your first year, this del my by del z or del mx by del z is going to be the shear force. Therefore, what is del my by del z? Del my by del z is going to be Sx Ixx minus Sy Ixy by Ixx Iyy minus Ixy square into x. Similarly, I will have Sy into Iyy minus Sx into Ixx by Ixx Iyy minus Ixy square into y. That is the value of del sigma z by del x. Now let us see what is the value of t into del sigma z by del z. That is going to be into t and into t. Okay, so this is another important expression, and I write this as my equation 2. Okay, right? So now the next job. So what I have to do is that I have to plug in equation 2 into equation 1. If I do so, okay, substituting equation 2 in equation 1, we get del q by del s is going to be minus minus sx ixx minus sy ixy by ixx iyy minus ixy square into tx minus sy iyy minus sx ixx by ixx iyy minus ixy square into ty. Okay, so that is the expression for del q by del s. Okay, let me therefore take this up ahead and let me just clear the canvas. So I have del q by del s, I have to write it again, minus sx ixx minus sy ixy by ixx iyy minus ixy square into tx minus okay, so that is del q by del s. Okay, so now let us look into the right hand side. So in right hand side I know everything. I know sx, I know sy, I know ixx iyy ixy, I know t, I will know x and y, the point at where I have to find out q. The only unknown that I have is q. This is my unknown, my shear flow. That's my job, to find out what is going to be the shear flow. Okay, now I take this equation, I call this as equation 3, and I integrate the both side of this equation. So integrating both sides of equation 3, what do I get? I get 0 to s del q by del s into ds is going to be minus sx ixx minus sy ixy by Ixx Iyy minus Ix. Okay, so this right hand side can actually be, so this whole thing can actually be written as Qs minus Q0. Okay, so if I know Q0, then I can find out Qs by evaluating the integral. So x will always be known as s, y will always be known as s, so I can evaluate this to integral. Okay, once I evaluate this integral, this whole thing is known, so I can use this equation to get Qs in terms of Q0 and the known parameters. So what is Q0? Q0 is a point which is generally on the free surface of the beam, which say, so at the free surface I know that the shear stress, or for that matter all the stresses, are 0. Therefore I can say Q at free surface or Q at 0 is going to be 0, and therefore I can find out Qs. The entire derivation is going to get clear as we solve an example. Okay, we will do that in the next lecture. Thank you.